My husband never looked at me the way he looked at my dead best friend's photo. And last night, I found out why. It's a specific kind of emptiness. That feeling. You stand in the doorway of your own home, holding groceries you just bought to make his favorite meal, and you watch your husband's face soften as he traces the edge of a framed picture with his thumb. It's a photo of Clara. It's always Clara. She's been gone for 5 years, and sometimes I think he's more married to her memory than he is to me. Let me rewind. My name is Nina. I'm 31. My husband, Daniel, is 34. Clara was my best friend since we were girls, a force of nature with wildfire hair and a laugh that could make strangers smile. Daniel was hers first. They were the golden couple from our university days, the passionate artist and his luminous muse. I was a reliable one, the friend in the background, studying architecture while they lived in a whirlwind of late-night conversations and impulsive road trips. I loved them both in different ways, but I buried any flicker of feeling for Daniel so deep I almost convinced myself it wasn't there. The accident was a brutal, senseless thing. A rain-slicked highway, a truck that lost control. Clara was gone in an instant. The light in our world went out. In the aftermath of that grief, Daniel and I clung to each other. We were two broken pieces, and somehow, in the slow, painful process of putting ourselves back together, we fused. Our relationship wasn't a lightning strike. It was a careful, quiet reconstruction. We built a life of comfort, of shared responsibility, of gentle affection. We have a beautiful house. Careers we're proud of. I'm an architect. He runs a successful graphic design studio. And a rhythm that works. Or it did. The problem has a name. Liam. Liam is Clara's younger brother. He's 29 now, but he'll forever be the lanky, awkward teenager who shadowed us, who had a colossal, painfully obvious crush on Clara that everyone politely ignored. After Clara died and his parents moved abroad, Liam sort of drifted. He's charming in a scattered, artistic way, talented but unfocused. He's been living in a different city, but 3 months ago, he moved back, his latest project having fallen through. Daniel, feeling a sense of duty to Clara's memory, immediately offered him our guest room just for a few weeks until he got on his feet. Those few weeks have stretched into months. Liam doesn't work a steady job. He creates. He sleeps until noon, uses our home studio, eats our food, and has an uncanny ability to be everywhere. But the real issue isn't his freeloading. It's his presence, which feels like a live wire plugged directly into the past. He talks about Clara constantly, not in a sad way, but in a vivid, resurrecting way. Remember that time Clara convinced the entire dorm to have a picnic on the roof at midnight? Clara hated this brand of coffee. Dan, you should know that. Nina, you're wearing a color Clara would have loved. Every memory is a door he flings open, and Daniel walks right through, his eyes losing focus on the present, on me, as he gets lost in the ghost. I've tried to be understanding. I love Clara too, but my grief is my own, a quiet, private ache for my friend. Their shared grief feels like a club, with Liam holding the membership key. They stay up late after I go to bed, and I hear the low murmur of their voices, the occasional burst of Daniel's real, unfiltered laughter, a sound I realize he rarely makes with me anymore. I'll come home from a late meeting and find him in the living room, sitting too close on the couch, looking at old photo albums Liam found in his storage unit. My discomfort has been simmering, but it boiled over last week. We were having dinner. The three of us. Liam was telling yet another Clara story, this one about how she and Daniel had secretly painted a mural under a bridge. Daniel was smiling, a real wistful smile. Then Liam said, "She always said you two had a connection that transcended everything. A once-in-a-lifetime bond. It's rare, that." He said it while looking straight at me, a challenge masquerading as nostalgia. I put my fork down. We're creating our own bond, Liam, in the present, where we all currently live. The table went quiet. Daniel frowned. Nina, he's just reminiscing. It's all he does. I said, my voice tighter than I intended. It's like we're running a museum dedicated to Clara, and I'm the inconvenient curator who wants to close for the night. Liam had the gall to look wounded. She was my sister, and Dan's first love. You can't just erase that. I'm not trying to erase her. I snapped. I'm trying to live in my own marriage without a permanent audience from the past. Daniel told me to calm down. He said I was being insensitive, that Liam was family and going through a hard time. The fight that followed was circular and exhausting. I felt ganged up on, like the outsider in my own home. Daniel's final word stung. You knew who I was, Nina. You knew about Clara. You can't ask me to pretend she never existed. I wasn't asking that. I was asking for some space for us to exist. The incident with the towel was the next straw. 2 days after the dinner fight, I came home early from a client visit. I walked into the kitchen to find Liam standing there, dripping wet, wearing nothing but a small towel slung low on his hips. Daniel was at the counter, making coffee, his back to him. The hot water ran out halfway through. Liam was complaining, running a hand through his wet hair. You really need to upgrade that heater, Dan. Daniel turned, saw me, and seemed startled. Liam just grinned. Hey, Nina, don't worry, I'm decent-ish. It's the middle of the day, I said, my voice icy. We have bathrooms with doors. Oh, relax, Liam said, sauntering past me, leaving a trail of damp footprints. We're all family here. Clara never minded when I walked around like this. That was the trigger. I am not Clara. My shout echoed in the kitchen. Liam's smirk faded, and he shrugged, padding off to the guest room. Daniel looked at me, exasperated. What's the big deal? He's just comfortable. It's not a statement. It feels like one, I whispered, feeling hysterical. It feels like he's constantly reminding me that I'm not her, that I'm in her space, with her man, and I don't measure up to memory. Daniel sighed, rubbing his temples. You're being paranoid and insecure. Liam is harmless. He's just connected to a part of my life you weren't a part of. That's all. Harmless, insecure, paranoid. The words became a mantra in my head, fed to me by my own husband. I started to question myself. Was I overreacting? Was my jealousy over a dead woman poisoning everything? The breaking point came yesterday. My mother came over for lunch. She's always been fond of Daniel, but she also knew Clara, and she's never been shy about her opinions. Liam, of course, was there, holding court. The conversation turned, as it always did, to the past. My mother, perhaps trying to include me, said, Nina was such a rock after Clara passed. I don't know what Daniel would have done without you, sweetheart. You were always so steady, so good for him. Liam, swirling his iced tea, let out a soft, thoughtful sigh. Steady is good. But you know, Clara used to say that a life without passionate sparks wasn't really living. She believed in all-consuming love, the kind that burns bright. He looked at Daniel, a knowing glint in his eye. You too had that. It was almost mythical. An awkward silence fell. My mother cleared her throat. Daniel was looking at his plate. Then Liam added, almost as an afterthought, but with perfect, cutting clarity, it's a shame that kind of love only happens once. Some people spend their whole lives looking for a spark and only find reliable kindling. The air left the room. My mother's eyes went wide. Daniel's head snapped up. Liam, he said, a warning in his voice, but it was too late. The metaphor was too precise, too cruel. Kindling, useful, functional, easily consumed and forgotten, just a means to start a real fire. the fire he and Clara had been. I was the kindling. Daniel's current, steady, reliable fuel. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I looked at my husband, waiting for a vehement denial, for him to throw Liam out on the spot for such a disrespectful, hurtful comment in my own home, to my face. He didn't. He looked from Liam to me, his expression pained, conflicted. He didn't mean it like that. Nina, Daniel finally said, his voice weak. It was a clumsy metaphor. He's an artist. He speaks in analogies. You're taking it too literally. That was it. The last thread of my composure snapped silently. My mother was spluttering, defending me. Liam was putting on a show of being misunderstood. But all I saw was my husband choosing, in that critical moment, to protect Liam's feelings and the sanctity of the past over mine in the glaring, humiliating present. I see, I said, my voice eerily calm. I stood up. Please excuse me. I went to our bedroom, but not to cry. I went with a purpose I'd never felt before. The paranoid, insecure wife was gone. In her place was a woman who needed the truth. I needed to know if I had been building a life on a foundation of someone else's memory. I'd never violated Daniel's privacy before, but the normal rules no longer applied. I went to his study, to the locked, antique cabinet where he kept things from his life with Clara, old letters, tickets, mementos. I knew where he hid the small key. My hands were steady as I opened it. There were the expected things, dried flowers, mixed CDs, and her loopy handwriting, a stack of Polaroids. But beneath them was a simple, leather-bound notebook. Daniel's. I opened it. It wasn't a diary. It was filled with sketches, fragment of poetry, ideas. And then, near the middle, I found the entries. They were sporadic, spanning from just after the accident to about a year before he proposed to me. The early pages were raw, gut-wrenching grief. I skimmed those, my heart aching for the young man he was. But then, as the entries progressed into the time when we were getting closer, the tone changed. One passage, dated around the time we had our first official date, froze my blood. Nina is so good, so solid. Being with her feels like coming up for air after drowning. But it's a different air. Colder, cleaner, less intoxicating. With Clara, I felt like I was breathing fire. With Nina, I feel like I'm finally learning how to breathe for survival. Maybe that's what real life is. Maybe the fire was meant to burn out, and what's left is the warm, steady ember. I hope I can learn to be content with the ember. She deserves that. I do, too. Content with the ember. I was the ember. Clara was the fire. Another entry from just a few months before he proposed. Liam called today. He's struggling. Talking to him is like stepping into a time machine. All the old feelings rush back, not just for Clara, but for who I was with her. He's the only one left who remembers that version of me. With Nina, I am the man after the fall. With Liam, I am still, somehow, the man who could fly, even if it was just in her eyes. It's a dangerous nostalgia. I have to be careful. My life is with Nina now. This is my choice. My choice. Not his love. Not his passion. His choice. A conscious election of stability over a memory he knew was dangerous. The final relevant entry was from last month after Liam had moved in. Having him here is harder than I thought. He is a walking, talking monument to her. To us. He says things. Looks at me in ways that bring it all back with a clarity that frightens me. Nina is upset. I see it. But how do I explain that the very thing that hurts her is also a ghost of the most alive I ever felt? How do I tell my wife that her presence is peace, but his presence is a haunting I sometimes don't want to end? I am a terrible person. I must do better. For Nina, I closed the notebook. My tears were gone. There was only a vast, cold clarity. He had married me for peace, for stability, for survival. He loved me in his way, but it was a quiet, careful love built on the ashes of a mythical one. And Liam wasn't just a nuisance. He was a conduit, a living link to the man Daniel sometimes wished he still was, to the love he still, in some secret chamber of his heart, mourned as his only real one. I took photos of the pages with my phone. Then I placed everything back exactly as it was. When I walked back into the living room, the atmosphere was tense. My mother had left. Liam was pretending to read a book. Daniel looked up, his face etched with worry and guilt. "Nina, let's talk," he began. "We will," I said. I looked at Liam. "Liam, you need to leave. Now. Not tomorrow. Now. Pack your things. I'll give you 1 hour." Liam started to protest, looking at Daniel for backup. "This isn't Daniel's decision," I said, my voice leaving no room for argument. "This is my home, and you are no longer welcome in it. The kindling has decided it doesn't want to be in the same fireplace as a ghost." Daniel stood up. "Nina, please, let's discuss this rationally. I just read your notebook," I said flatly. The color drained from his face. The mask of conflicted guilt fell away, replaced by pure, unadulterated shame. He understood that I had seen the naked truth, the ember, the fire, the choice. "Oh, God," he whispered. "Yeah," I said. I turned back to Liam, who was now watching with keen, almost clinical interest. 45 minutes. Liam, seeing the defeat in Daniel's eyes, finally knew the game was up. He left the room without another word. Daniel and I stood there in the wreckage of our living room. The ghost of Clara and the specter of Liam finally banished, leaving only the stark, ruined landscape of our marriage between us. "It wasn't like that," he choked out. "I love you, Nina. What we have is real. It is real." I agreed, the coldness of my voice surprising even me. "It's real peace. It's real stability. It's a real, conscious choice you made. But it's not the myth, is it, Daniel? And you've been letting Liam feed you little bites of the myth for months, right in front of me, while you told me I was paranoid for smelling the smoke." He had no answer. The truth was a wall between us. "You need to leave too, Daniel," I said, feeling a profound exhaustion. "Not forever, but for now. You need to figure out if you can live a full life with just the ember, as you so poetically put it. Because I refuse to spend the rest of my life being someone's consolation prize, someone's safe harbor while they secretly long for the storm." He tried to reach for me, but I stepped back. The touch that once comforted me now felt like a claim I no longer recognized. "I want a love that is a fire for me," I said, my voice breaking for the first time. "Not the careful, controlled warmth you keep going out of guilt or habit. And until you can honestly say to yourself and to me that you are not comparing every spark to a memory, that you are not nostalgic for a ghost we have nothing left to build on." He left that night, a duffel bag in hand, his shoulders slumped in a posture of utter defeat. Liam was gone, his parting shot a vague text about artists being misunderstood. The house was silent, terribly, beautifully silent. I sat alone in the living room, no longer a third wheel to a memory, but finally, achingly, the sole occupant of my own life. The path ahead is terrifying and unclear. Therapy, for sure. Time alone, absolutely. Maybe a separation that leads to divorce. Maybe, against all odds, a reconciliation built on a new, honest foundation where I am the love story, not the epilogue someone else is. But for the first time in years, the narrative is mine to write. I am not kindling. I am not an ember. I am Nina. And after 5 years of living in a museum of someone else's past, I am finally walking out into the present, ready to feel the sun or the storm on my own face.